Hey, look, we got a Prodigy disc. This is the FX4. We're gonna see how it flies. So, the FX4. The flight numbers for this disc is a 9.5, -2.1. We're gonna see how true those numbers are. We're reviewing the FX3 in another video at the same time. So I'm gonna get live feedback myself on the molds, and you'll have to watch both videos to find out yourself how they fly. FX4 here, Isaac Robinson Tour Series from Rookie of the Year. Just gonna pop it on a little bit of a hyzer. It's a low hyzer. I got some decent carry. I think that was probably pushing maybe 320, something like that. Nothing too crazy though. Pretty smooth out of the hand. So my first throw there with that FX4 went right around 335, so pretty close to what I was projecting. Pretty smooth throw, nothing too crazy, and it got some good distance. Pretty good throw with this first one. I am going to go anti-release just to try to cover as many flights as possible. It's holding it, panning. That's pretty good. That holds the line pretty well. I threw it kind of hard. I didn't get a full, like, crazy good throw on it, but it went farther, I think, than the first one did. These are pretty consistent. Like, I have hit 340, I think, twice. This one might have been closer to 350 on that, like, left or right shot, but I think what we're going to try right now is just try to hit it kind of flattish. Oh, I turned it. Well, there's your throw. If you try really hard, you'll turn it over. Okay, getting slightly chilly. Still getting darker by the minute. We're gonna do a forehand here, and then hopefully I'll be able to get one or two more throws in. First forehand of the day. Oh, look at that. Didn't really flick that too hard. Got a good little flip up, move to the left, hyzer back out. That's pretty smooth. I like that. Last throws of the video because it's getting dark on camera. Just gonna go pretty good powered hyzer release with this thing. So low. Man, I'm surprised. I feel like that thing's going to fight that a little bit more. Even I might have kind of came up on it a little bit, but still takes some getting used to that one. Okay, so I just wanted to do a little bit more talking about this disc, the FX4. First off, it is pretty, but I was going to show you and compare you the rims to a couple other discs. So when I was on street team, this was my favorite Fairway. This is the F5. Granted, I don't really know the flight numbers of the F5. I didn't really know flight numbers. So as you can tell, this is a much blunter Fairway. That's got a little bit more scoop to it, a little bit sharper. And that was flippier, usually. I'm gonna show you a F1. Now, look at that. It's actually closer to an F1 than it is an F5, but it's not near as overstable as what an F1 generally would be. But I was gonna see, I used to bag an Explorer. Look, they're pretty similar as well. Only difference is I just looked it up. An Explorer was a 7502. So these were pretty similar in shape. They say it's a 7-speed. They feel pretty similar. This is just a tad bit wider, I think. And then Undertaker here. Undertaker a little bit sharper, a little bit more flat instead of having a scoop. but I believe it's a 9-speed. And they're pretty similar. This is something I don't get to do very often. Just be here at the house. I was editing and I just figured I needed to add a little bit more to this video because I didn't get as many throws in it. But in hand, it's got just a little bit of dome, just barely a pop to it. This was pretty good, but it was a little bit more stable than I thought, but it's not overstable. So this is a solid disc. Like I said, it would have fit in my lineup when I was with Prodigy. Now, I don't know what I would compare this to that's in my bag. It would be somewhere between probably a Pekka Pekka and a Tara Edie. Tara Edie's a 10-speed, Pekka Pekka's a 9-speed, and Pekka Pekka's probably a little bit flippier, and the Tara Edie is more overstable. So it's like in that range, but this is a solid one. It's right there with the FX3 side by side. Could have swore I had the FX3 somewhere. Give me a second. All right, found it. So FX3, FX4. As you can see, you might be able to see, it's hard to tell. FX3 is just scooped a little bit more here. It's a little bit more gradual on the FX4, but in general, they're not very different. And in flight, they weren't very different either. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't see the FX3 is a little bit more blunt, but I would not see somebody bagging both of those discs. I don't think it would be one or the other. It's kind of like the H3 V2 and the H4 V2 for me. It was just like I picked the one I like the best, but just wanted to give you a little bit more insight into it instead of me just throwing, since I didn't get a lot of throws that day. Got dark quick, but let me know if you like seeing me compare like rims and stuff side by side to other discs that I'm more familiar with. I can do that. Just let me know. That's all it is on this side. Back to editing. You know, it's not as unstable as the numbers lead you, at least this run. I don't know if there's a difference here. This might be that 500 plastic, I can't remember, but this is actually flying slightly more stable than the FX3 I was reviewing. So this is a 9.5 -2.1, I believe. Let me check. Yeah, so a 9.5 -2.1. The FX3 is a 9.4 -1.52. I would reverse those numbers if this is how every one of them flies. Or I would make this one the FX3 and the other one the FX4. But with that being said, this is a good disc. Just like the FX3, if I was still on Prodigy and I was throwing Prodigy molds, I would probably be bagging this or the FX3. I didn't bag a lot of fairways when I was on the street team, and it was just because I didn't have a lot that I loved. I loved the F5 and I threw the FX2. But outside of that, like, I had a H3 V2 that I treated as a fairway. And that was all my fairways. So this would have been a nice little addition to have, as long as these are consistent in their runs and not like crazy off. That would have been nice, but this is one to check out if you haven't. The rims of the FX3 and the FX4 are pretty similar. So if you like the feel of one, you'll probably like the feel of the other. That's all we got though. Till next time, peace.